This week we're talking about a few other strategies in postmodernism. The first one is this French strategy that has a French word. It's called Detournement, and it means deflection or redirection. And it was made popular by a French avant-garde group called Situationist International. They were led by a Marxist philosopher named Guy Debord. And the strategy here is they take known ideas and images and change them into something new and different with the intent to communicate a subversive idea within a familiar guise. And the gist of it is, according to Debord and his collaborator Gil Woolman, ultimately any sign or word is susceptible to being converted into something else, even into its opposite. So to illustrate that, this photograph by Cecil Beaton of Queen Elizabeth is a pretty good example. This is the portrait he made for the Queen's 25th anniversary of her coronation, her silver jubilee. And it's a pretty, straightforward portrait. She's wearing a crown. She looks very serious, and it's supposed to make you think about her authority as a monarch. Well, Jamie Reed took that same photograph, reversed it, and used it for the Sex Pistols cover, God Save the Queen. So it takes this image that is very conservative and staid and then transforms it into something that's completely the opposite. Like so many postmodern things, there are roots in Dada. We didn't talk about John Hartfield explicitly, but he was a photomonteur who would take Nazi propaganda photography and do the same exact thing, basically, but in the 1930s. A place in the United States that really followed this détournement style is the Cranbrook Academy of Art in Michigan. They emphasized a deconstructive style. They talked about graphic design as a discourse. A discourse is like a conversation, and the way that they talk about it at Cranbrook, they argue that meanings are not fixed and cannot be, they're not stable. And we saw that with the Cecil Beaton portrait of Queen Elizabeth, right? It isn't a stable image of monarchical authority. If you change it around a little bit, it can become something different. So at Cranbrook, they were really interested in the way that text and images overlap with each other. In international style, the designers insist that reading and viewing are separate. At the Cranbrook Academy, in Detournement, and in deconstructive graphic design writ large, they argue that looking at images and text happens simultaneously. And I should mention also the French philosopher Jacques Derrida is an important influence here too. He says that all claims to truth and stability are ideologically compromised. Basically, there is no truth. Nothing is unchanging. So this is an example of graphic design from Cranbrook. This is advertising their graphic design Master of Fine Arts program. It is a photo montage, and you can see that they set up images on either side of each other. So like see and read, text, image, as if to set up these dichotomies. But then when you get into the middle, it doesn't work quite as well. And so these terms kind of get aligned and overwrite each other, so that it suggests that you can't set up these clean-cut dichotomies. Similarly, the image itself, you want it to be symmetrical and you want to try and align the images on either side of that central axis, but you can't. Again, deeply influenced by Dada and the way that Dada artists like Hannah Höch would take opposite images and put them next to each other in order to create new meaning. This is another example of graphic design that comes out of Cranbrook. This is by Ed Fella, and it's a poster advertising a gallery exhibition. It should remind you of the Jan van Toorn poster that we looked at in the beginning of modernism. It's just lots of random text all over the place. It's a little bit more legible than what we saw before, but still just everything all over. Now, Fella also worked as a mainstream graphic designer. This is a catalog he made for the Chevy Camaro in 1976. This, as you look at it, should make you think of international style, right? It's classic typo photo with photo montage and blending the text and the image in a way that communicates the excitement of the car. So you see that Ed Fella, he kind of has it both ways, right? He has a mainstream career, and then he also produces this very edgy avant-garde stuff on the side. So talking about that in 1994, Fella says, there's a whole other kind of history that has nothing to do with aesthetics or design history. If you're writing a history of the automobile industry and American economics, I'm sure some commercial, totally anonymous car catalog I did in 1976 for Camaro had a bigger impact on the American system as a whole than some flyer I did for the Detroit Focus Gallery that's in design history books that had a big influence on a whole generation of students, blah, blah, blah. So Fella there is saying, oh, we get all excited about this avant-garde new design coming out of Cranbrook, but what's actually more influential? Probably the more conservative international style ad from the 1970s. The next quote I have is from an art historian named Hal Foster, who in the early 80s was writing about this idea about the anti-aesthetic. And he asks, is aesthetics something that we should even care about anymore? So he sees postmodernism as really being defined by anti-aesthetics. I mean, if international style was all about this certain look, then postmodernism is going to be the antithesis of that.